We're back!
We're so back right now.
I'm Marshmallow. I'm sitting here with Hitler. Say, Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler.
And we're drunk on a weeknight. Gentlemen, I don't think I need to ask you what you're drinking tonight because what's tonight, Hitler?
Well, tonight's Fireball Friday.
Fireball Friday. What's that made out of?
It means I'm drinking Fireball. It's a red hot cinnamon whiskey.
Red hot.
Which is
So hot.
33% alcohol by volume, or
That's by volume, bitches.
66 proof if you're keeping track at home.
Ooh.
And I mean, really, the best way to sum it up, it's a whiskey with a natural cinnamon flavor.
I like them natural ingredients. Gotta stay healthy.
I'm not a big preservatives guy, so anything that says natural on it, I'm all in.
Cheers, Hitler.
Cheers to that.
Oh, why? Poison. Hi.
I'm going to wake up the neighbors now.
Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here live from the Drunk on a Weeknight headquarters. It's been a while, Hitler. Great to see you.
Great to see you, Marshmallow. You have not yet been to the new headquarters building, and now I've got the hiccups due to that hot Fireball flavor.
Well, that's why our fans tune in for that high-quality craftsmanship with the hiccups and the loud clinking noises.
This is all real. It's all natural.
Very
just
professional.
Like the Fireball says.
Amen, Hitler.
It's all natural.
Do you know what season we're in today, Hitler?
We're just shy of dove season, I believe.
Incorrect. It is fantasy football season.
How can
They're
I
coming
forget?
on up. It's about 45 days out from most people's drafts. People are getting locked and
But
loaded.
who's counting?
But I mean, it's not like I'm Xing marks off a calendar with a big red circle of my draft date. No siree. I'm very lonely. But I think we're going to start rocking down, help some folks out with some of those first couple rounds by breaking down the top 24 picks per ESPN standard scoring. I thought we'd give a little bit of our perspective on some of these players. Because, don't get me wrong, these players could very potentially be the make or break picks for certain people.
Hashtag truth.
Very true. So, let's get started, Hitler.
Let's get crack-a-lackin'.
Hitler? Do you have a running back or wide receiver as your number one pick this year?
Ooh.
A lot of people are starting to like them wide receivers classically. People like to go running back. But in the new modern day, a lot of more wide receivers seem to be a little bit more standard, a little bit more true, a little bit healthier, a little bit more expected production. So with that being said, who do you have number one?
I actually agree with ESPN on this one. I will say this, though. Do you need some more Fireball so you can be drinking instead of talking? Because you will not.
I'm spitting hot fire.
Okay, well, as long as you're not talking so much, I'm okay with it. Okay, so I've got Antonio Brown number one overall. I really don't think there's arguing with ESPN standard at this point in time. But I will say this: it's I am typically a running back guy first two rounds. This year, I don't know that it's that year. I think it's a pretty clear-cut favorite with Antonio Brown. I think he's the safest. I think he's also got a super high ceiling, and when you have both those factors, it looks pretty good for you.
That is surprising coming from you, Hitler, because of course, as all people know, if there's one thing you know about Hitler is that he's a running back guy. I mean, that's just like that's the first thing you learn about in school.
Yeah.
But yes, Antonio Brown, number one ESPN. Quite surprising to me, actually. It seems like everyone is zigging versus the zag from last year. I do feel like it's a bit of a overreach with this fear of the running backs, the top position, because we had such a poor running from the top running backs last year. However, I can't fault you if you want to take Antonio Brown number one, just because he's such a freaking stud.
Yep.
Sure. So my actual thoughts on Antonio Brown is he is a freaking stud. He's easily the number one wide receiver. He could easily single-handedly get you in your championship game. I think he's going to have a monster season. Is there any reason he would not be your number one wide receiver?
Don't make me yell at you. I just said that I agree with him being number one overall.
Yes.
Why would he not be my number one wide receiver? Those two. Take that shot. Thank you. Just, suck that down.
Poison! Goddamn!
So, is there any reason, I wanted to hear from you, is there any reason why you would not take Antonio Brown number one overall, or are you going running back first?
I personally would go running back, which we'll get to in a bit, but I definitely think if you were going to take and want to play it safe, I think Antonio Brown is probably the safest player in the draft.
Yeah,
he has the most upside with the most highest floor as well.
Uh-huh.
The positional scarcity is the only thing that would cause me not to take Antonio Brown, but that's why, like, if you wanted to play it safe, punt on running back, take the number one stud wide receiver in Antonio Brown, could not fault you.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to consider when you're taking the number one overall prick, yeah, you got a long time between pricks.
But you want the number one. Am I right? You don't want to settle for the number two prick. Jokes! We're full of them.
So the one thing you want to consider, though, is that you've got a long time between picks, which can be good and bad. It basically means that your third-round pick is essentially a late second-round pick, but it also means that your second-round pick is essentially a third-round pick. Depends on the way you look at it. So you got to make sure that you consider that before you jump in. You don't want to jump on Antonio Brown with the idea that you'll get a stud running back, because honestly, that top-tier running back is going to be gone by round 2. You don't have the luxury of being in the middle round or even late round 1 and being able to circle back with a good round 2 pick.
That's true and stuff, but I mean, if you're that concerned about having too much time in between pricks, join a sorority.
Boom.
Number 2, Odell Beckham Jr. Starting to become a man. I think we're going to have to take that junior off there pretty soon, because Odell's been putting up pretty freaking regularly. Storming onto the scenes from injury from 2 years ago. Odell has been tried and true. Is Odell your number 2? What do you think about Odell this year?
As a Cowboy fan,
this is known.
Hitler
loves the Dallas Cowboys.
You may recall my interview with Jerry Jones.
That's true. You do have the insight.
Yeah, so I got Jerry Jones on the podcast with us, and
Jerry Jones has Hitler on speed dial.
I mean, when you have Johnny Walker Blue with Jerry Jones, it's just a feeling.
It's
you
a
won't
bond
get out.
you share for a lifetime.
I mean, it's not going to go away. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I don't know if it's the homer bias or if it's not. I actually don't like OBJ.
Hot take. Hashtag hot take.
Yeah, so I actually don't have him in my top 6.
Wide receiver overall.
Overall.
Okay.
Overall.
That's
it's
surprising.
not too big of a stretch.
That is surprising.
But at the same time, he's not actually within my my first 2 wide receivers.
Is this Kardashian hate?
No, because I
this is Mohawk hate.
Honestly, I probably couldn't even tell you who the Kardashians are. I mean, I could likely. There's a chance I couldn't. So yeah, moving on. No real intelligence on OBJ other than the fact that Eli Manning is quarterback, and that's pretty embarrassing, if you ask me. Therefore, I just can't trust Eli Manning, and that's really what it comes down to. It's a struggle. Daily struggle.
Yeah, but even with Eli Manning, Odell's put up like the biggest numbers like any wide receiver has in his first 2 years. He's done it 2 years now. I mean, the first year was half a year, but he's put up enough games that I think he gets a little bit more leeway. I mean, the loser of the Oreo challenge with his brother Peyton is the one throwing balls to Odell, but yet somehow he's still getting it done.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I just don't like his haircut. Number 3, Adrian Peterson.
He could beat out anyone, if you ask me.
I think he's going to whip that offense into shape.
Oh, watch out. Jokes constantly.
I don't get it.
Wait, what? So, yeah, I like Adrian Peterson. He's actually, right now, my top running back.
I think he might be the safest.
I don't know that that's true. I actually will have an argument for you later on in this first round. But I do think that he's tried and true. He's got the first running back spot pretty much locked up at this point. The one person that I will name later that I would argue against right now is probably someone that doesn't have enough of history for us to really make a good judgment on. And with that said, I have no problem taking AP number 1 or number 2 overall.
I think the thing that's going to separate most people from drafting Adrian Peterson this year is do you want to be the guy too early to jump off the bandwagon or the guy that's a little bit too late to jump off the bandwagon?
That's true.
Because if you're the person who wants to give up on him and move on to someone else who you think might be similar, Adrian Peterson could slide in some drafts, and I think he could be excellent value for some people.
Uh-huh.
Or you take him because he's still amazing on a very good team who could very easily win the NFC North again and easily put up 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. I think he could be great again this year. I think he's going to be a little undervalued just because people get scared of him and starting to want to jump off a little too early. He is kind of the Tim Duncan of the NFL, where he's still putting up great, good, decent stats.
That's not true. He's not that tall.
Very true. But I actually think he's going to be a steal in drafts because I could see him sliding in a lot of drafts.
I would agree with you there, except for I don't know that he slides far enough to be some sort of great value.
Well, my point is, I think he could. Well, that's okay. Go ahead.
I think the second he slides to the number 4 slot and the number 4 pick.
Well, I don't think he's going to go. I can see him sliding to the end of the first. Is my point.
No, I don't see that happening.
Oh, I can see enough people saying, "Oh, he's old."
All right,
and that's the end of their conversation. And especially with all the wide receivers that are jumping in the first round.
Would you like to put something on the board? Because I would.
Based on what? There's no comparison.
No. We have a measurement tool to be able to measure this. I say that Adrian Peterson's
whips his son 0.5% of the time, 0.5 times. I'm going to say the under.
No, I'm going to say Adrian Peterson's ADP at the end of this draft season is 4.1 or lower.
Interesting.
What say you?
Adrian Peterson's ADP by kickoff time. I will take the over.
Really?
And I'm going to let that shit ride.
All right, let it ride, please.
Let it ride, please.
Let it ride, please. And
very good. That's a good one.
Yeah, I believe that's our first board bet of the year on tape. You and I did make a side bet not too long ago.
Nope. It was. All our fans know exactly well that I'm going to be up 2-0. This one going forward. Yeah. Moving on.
It's debatable.
Now we got the first running back off the board. We're going to swing back to wide receiver and Julio Jones. I believe that's how it's pronounced.
I don't think he's Jewish.
No, I was being Nicaraguan.
I don't think he's Nicaraguan.
He's Nicaraguan.
Christ,
Jokes.
Jokes.
Julio Jones. Now, again, this is a guy that's had injury concerns in the past. However, last year was one of the few guys that actually stayed super healthy and therefore rocking up the draft board up to the number 4 position this year. Julio Jones, Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan. Thoughts?
I actually really like Julio Jones. I always have.
I like Don Julio.
Yeah, take another shot of Fireball, will you? Thanks. All right, so
why?
I'm just that convincing. That's why. So Julio Jones, I think he's a stud. I think he's justifiably a top 3 pick. I wouldn't blame you for taking him number 2 overall.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
That's ridiculous. Overrated. Julio Jones is very good, but the 4th pick is ridiculous. I don't even really like him as the number 3 wide receiver. I mean, last year I pegged him as one of my high flyers who I thought was being very underdrafted as like the 5th wide receiver because I thought he had very top 3 possibility. This year I'm not so sure, especially with some of these wide receivers. My point is, I still like him as a wide receiver. I just think fourth overall is ridiculous. Now, you're going to hear this a lot from me because I'm still really high on some of these running backs. So, as the number 3 wide receiver, I guess I probably can't disagree. This is still too high for him. He's going to have a good year. He's always going to have a problem with getting touchdowns. But I think right now, yeah, he probably is the number 3 wide receiver. It just depends on if that translates to the number 4 overall or number 10 overall.
Oh my gosh. Man, there for a second I didn't think I was going to wake up from your rant. Christ.
I'm sorry, did that go on too long, Hitler?
Yes, it did. So, what we were talking about Julio Jones? Right? Okay, yeah, justifiably, I think a number 2 overall pick. I wouldn't take him over Antonio Brown, but I'd take him over OBJ, and I honestly would probably take him over AP. I really think his value exists as being a tie with Adrian Peterson first round. Depends on your league, depends on your scoring, but I think those guys are 2A, 2B.
That's way too high, but everyone picks their poison. You're gonna take Julio Jones, and I'm gonna take Fireball.
Take as many as you want.
Number 5, number 2 running back coming off the board, Le'Veon Bell.
Man.
I have a lot to
case
say.
Of Benjamin Button action right
I
there.
do have a lot to say about Le'Veon Bell, but I have to work off this erection real quick. So why don't you just go ahead and take it from here?
You let me know when that blood flow starts to go down. But Le'Veon Bell, we've got a little bit. We've got about a month left until it's draft time. I think this month is going to be huge for him. I think if we find out that he is cleared to play, he's cleared to sprint and do agility drills, I think we're going to learn a lot about his ability moving forward. Last I learned, he was cleared to run in straight lines. Am I wrong? Has there been another clearance medically?
He's been running around dunking basketballs.
Yes, I know, but cleared on a football field, quote unquote, to make cuts and.
Yes, but there's a difference between running around in helmets and shorts and taking hits and whatnot. But yes, as of right now, he seems to be healthy.
Okay, so with that in mind, I really like him as a top pick. I think he's right about where he needs to be, but like we were saying earlier,
interesting.
Mildly
interesting.
I'm not huge on Odell Beckham Jr. And therefore I would probably take Le'Veon Bell above him. But if we learn that he's got some extra scar tissue or he's got some limited mobility, then maybe I make some changes to my ranks.
Le'Veon Bell,
where he needs to be,
is my number 1 guy.
That's
number 1 guy. Yes, he's coming off ACL injury, but science has progressed quite drastically. I actually think he's got the most upside. I think he's got the number 1 possibility to single-handedly take you to a fantasy championship next year. I think he's the number 1 running back, and in my books, the number 1 overall. And you say you really like Le'Veon Bell. I'm going to say I love him. I would actually not be against, like, if he wanted to lay back in a nice leather chair, recline that bitch, smoke up a big old doobie, like super thick. We're talking like quality ganja here. And I take his meaty dick right in my mouth, and I show him how much I love him. He's the number 1 guy, and I just start slurping and slucking and shoving his giant dick in the back of my throat.
Todd
and he starts just coming fantasy points all up and down my throat. And I just suck them all up, and I get that goddamn trophy this year. And then I go and make him a sandwich, because that's how much I goddamn love Le'Veon Bell this year.
Okay, so moving on, I guess, at this point.
Love him!
I'm going to move on to Todd Gurley, and I like Todd Gurley, and
only fags like girls. That was a Todd Gurley pun.
Yeah, no, I guess after your last statement, that totally makes sense. I'm learning a lot about you tonight, Marshmallow. I really like Todd Gurley. That move to LA, it's kind of exciting. mostly because I don't even like St. Louis as a city at
It
all.
it is a hellhole.
Yeah, it's
It is the nipple of America.
I mean, they have a giant upside down U in the middle
What
of the
is
city,
that?
and that's like their big thing, and they're proud of it. But tell me your thoughts on Gurley.
I got a McDonald's in my city too, but you don't see me bragging about it. I mean, Todd Gurley could very easily be very good this year, and I do agree he's probably the number 3 running back you want. But man, LA, that offense, what are his touchdown potentials? How much yards can he get? I do think he's still probably the number 3, but I've seen some people being taking him number 1 off of one season, and it wasn't even a full season; it was kind of a half season. So I just want to kind of make sure our listeners understand that you're taking a big risk. You want to take Gurley number 1, but again, don't be afraid to take him as the number 3. Those other options are still just better, but Gurley's still going to be very good because he's already proven it in 12 games last year. He was able to put up very quality points on a bad offense. I think with the new quarterback, they're going to open it up a little bit, which, crutch argument, you could say it's going to hurt or help him. You still got Tavon Austin taking screen passes and end arounds and whatnot, but I think Todd Gurley is still going to somehow get the job done. I don't think there's any potential competition there with Benny Cunningham and gang. Todd Gurley is still going to be a very good running back. Just be a little wary. LA, it kind of got the new shine and whatnot. So please, everyone, be cautious. But still, don't take all my hesitation, too far. He's still probably the number 3 running back.
Christ, dude, what a rant!
I'm sorry, but when girls walk in, I get a little bit flustered, and I have to. I get a little talkative because I don't want to show my insecurity.
Shit happens. So DeAndre Hopkins, though.
Prost!
Man, you are just.
God!
For you folks at home, we're
still in the first round.
We are still in the first round.
Why are we doing this?
We're halfway through a bottle of Fireball.
That's all you got in Gurley?
I really like Todd Gurley, but I'll never have him because the leagues I play in right now, either my picks are not going to be appropriate for me to get
I can see that.
or
I think he's probably gone in most dynasty and keeper leagues.
Yeah, that's the other problem I have. I play in a lot of those, and
I think that injury really enhanced his value last year. It's going to be hard to get him this year.
Yeah. The thing is, I actually was targeting him, but someone just targeted him just a slight bit more than me, and it should benefit them a little bit. But, Todd Gurley, I think he's worth it round 1. I don't think there's any question, but let's move on.
You know what's really surprising to me? Number 4 wide receiver.
DeAndre Hopkins?
DeAndre Hopkins.
That doesn't sound right, does it?
That does not sound... Now, I think I like DeAndre Hopkins a lot, but number 4, that seems to be a reach to me.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because they have a quarterback?
Well,
wait a second.
DeAndre Hopkins put up a shit ton of points last year.
Yeah, he did.
In the first half, when they couldn't run the ball.
Right.
And they were behind all the time, and most of his points were junk time second half points. And that's coming off of memory, not actual fact, but I believe he had a shit ton of fourth quarter touchdowns.
Yeah, considering the fact that you just contradicted yourself, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and guess that was...
How did that contradict myself?
You said he had a shit ton of, first half points.
I'm sorry, I meant second half. He had a lot of second half points in the first half of the season. That was before they were able to establish a running game, which they were able to do a little bit better.
Right.
That's also why their defense sucked so bad. Once their defense got good in the second half, their offensive possessions got way limited in the second half, and all of a sudden, DeAndre Hopkins' values plummeted. However, people remember the pretty points they got in the first half, which skyrockets up to number 4 wide receiver. And I still think he's a number 1, but number 4 seems crazy to me. Yeah. I think people are going to be very disappointed in him this year.
I just think, because I'm looking at this list, and I see the next wide receiver, the wide receiver after that, and even the wide receiver after that, and the wide receiver after that,
and
the wide receiver after that.
So he's followed. That's one point.
Wide receiver.
He's
and
still,
I don't like him over any of those
He's
guys.
still a number 1, but 4 seems to be ridiculous.
I honestly, I just don't see that.
The 7th pick overall. Come on, guys.
Here's what ESPN's thinking. They're thinking, all right, Brock Osweiler, man, how great was he to be able to help Denver keep a good portion of.
That's not true.
And then
what they're thinking is, how can we fuck Bill Simmons this time? What can we do now? Find his dog, kill it. Crust.
Oh God, dude, if I have to clean up, even throw up, I'm gonna lose. You realize at Drunk on a Weeknight headquarters, this is a new building.
This carpet is pretty new, I gotta admit.
I can't afford to just clean up new carpet.
Number 8. Now, here is where it gets very interesting.
Where's my Wolf on Wall Street?
Yes. Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys.
That's what was that? You're not from the South, are you?
The Dallas Cowboys, I believe is how they pronounce it.
Okay.
Now, Ezekiel Elliott going 8th overall, the number 4 running back. That seems to have a shit ton of upside built in with very little downside built in. I think if he can end up the season as the number 4 running back, you'd be pretty damn happy. But to draft him there seems to be awfully hopeful. Now, if he ends up number 1, I wouldn't be surprised. But the odds seem to be very low. Thoughts, Hitler? This is your boy now.
This is my boy. We've talked.
There will be many let it ride bets this year based on Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people have Zeke high on their radar. Here's the thing: he's playing behind a line in which Run DMC managed over 1,000 yards last year, in what really could be considered a little over half a season because he wasn't the number 1 running back to start the year. A lot of shared carries, and truthfully, I think everyone's thinking, "Hey, look at this stud running back coming out of college, and now he gets to play behind the stud lines." Here's the other thing: that's a very balanced offense. This got Des Bryant, Tony Romo, Jason Witten, Ezekiel Elliott.
This has got to be the highest ranked rookie running back since Adrian Peterson.
No, I would say since Eddie.
Eddie Lacy wasn't ranked this high.
Second.
His rookie year is like the 8th overall. That's ridiculous.
But maybe the 4th running back, was he not?
No, not even close.
Maybe
the point is that yes, Zeke Elliott is an amazing pass blocker and is probably a 3-down back.
He will be a 3-down.
He is going to be an amazing football player for the Dallas Cowboys.
Correct.
Now, if that's this year,
fantasy player,
or next year, or the year after that, is a little bit unknown. Is a rookie going to get in there and get that many snaps and that many carries over? Darren McFadden got over 1,000 yards last year. Are they just going to throw Darren McFadden to the curb?
Yeah, he just broke his elbow.
He broke his elbow. Do you need an elbow to run the ball? No, you use your legs.
Do you need an excuse to get rid of Run DMC?
What about Alfred Morris, who you just traded for? The point is, there's a lot of mouths to feed. I don't see, even though he's a 3-down back, he's not going to be on the field for 3 downs. He's a rookie. I don't even see him starting the first game. At what point can you actually safely start him during the season? How many games can you let go by? If you're going to draft him as your number 1 running back, as some unsure rookie in the very first game, seems to be very iffy for me. That being said, his upside is greater than any other person in the draft in this league. I don't think there's anyone who has a bigger upside than Ezekiel Elliott this year, but he also has a shit ton of negative, and I don't think that negative is being built into his draft status. I think 8 is way too high for him. However, he's going to go easily in the top 8 this year in drafts because of that upside, and people are going to love that new sexiness.
Well, let me just ask you this: could Zeke finish as the number 1 overall running back?
Easily.
And you're getting him as the number.
My point is, he's got like a
pick,
25% chance.
And you're getting him as the number 8 overall pick.
Yes.
Okay.
Because other running backs also have a better chance as the number 1.
Here's what's going to happen.
The point is, he has a chance to be the number 1 running back. He also has a chance to be Amir Abdullah.
He also
I would take a guy with a known quantity. You're big. You're not
that's
big.
That's why we talk about Antonio Brown the way we talk about him.
Yes,
he's
exactly.
a known quantity.
Agree. That's why he's going number one. Even though I disagree with that, I would understand why people are taking number one.
Right.
We don't have that for Ezekiel Elliott.
You need to take Darren McFadden out of the equation because he's got a broken bone in his elbow. Guess what?
I don't believe that. I don't. That's not true.
The Cowboys are going to cut him.
Ooh, I
think the Cowboys will cut him.
You think the Cowboys will cut him when? Before the season even starts.
Uh-huh.
He will be part of the preseason cuts.
I think he will be cut or traded prior to.
So you're saying that Darren McFadden will not be on the team week 1?
He will not be on the team week 1.
I say he will be on the team week 1.
Would you like to let it ride?
Yeah, I kind of set you up for that. I don't know what. Let it ride, please.
Let it ride, please.
All right, put it on the board. Darren McFadden will definitely be on the team. He's not going to get straight up cut. He does have a decent salary. I see where your point. I think that's a very good bet, but it's not going to happen.
He's got too much of a salary.
Now, of all teams, Ezekiel Elliott is super happy to land in Dallas because that's a team that not only has an amazing offensive line, but they love their popcorn. And the minute Darren McFadden sucks those first couple of weeks, you're going to get a lot of fan support to get Zeke the ball a lot more going forward, if that happens.
Yeah.
But still, there is a lot of upside and potential and wishful thinking.
Well, you know what? I think number 9 overall. Let's move on to number 9.
For wishful thinking is David Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
We were just talking about how Ezekiel Elliott has so much potential. David Johnson doesn't have that much more potential than Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, the fact is, he played 4 great games last year at the very end of the season.
Right.
And everyone seems to be basing his draft status on those 4 games. Now, this is a guy who could also be a 3-down back and could be amazing, catch the ball, really good offense, blah, blah, blah. But we've seen a lot of times this happen. Guy has a flash in the pan that first season. Second season, not so much.
Wow, you're struggling.
Not so much.
You're struggling with words at this point.
That's why I went to the Cowboys.
Man, that's rough.
I sound like Tom Brady's balls.
So I think at this point in the draft, you're probably thinking, what's the next running back to go to? And you're just reaching. And I think David Johnson is just that. I think he's a reach. So, I mean, you tell me, but David Johnson's a total reach here.
Well, I don't think it's a reach. I still really like him. I actually think I probably like David Johnson more than Ezekiel Elliott. But that is super close to me, and probably by draft day that might change.
Yeah.
I do like David Johnson this year. He was definitely one of those studs last year that I actually kind of gave up on a little bit too early. I had him on my team for quite a long time, and then sure enough, they decided to blow up at the very end to fuck me, not with a condom. And I think this, as a first rounder, seems awfully high for me, but I can definitely understand people's thoughts on that. I think he's definitely going to be good this year, and I think if you can get him in late first round, you probably will not be disappointed.
So, was I supposed to take a nap during that, or was that unintentional? Did you mean to do that?
Your passive aggressiveness has no effect on me, Hitler.
Christ.
Generally, you're much more straightforward with your violence.
I just think you're so dumb.
Dez Bryant. Let's get back to your territory here.
I like Dez Bryant.
He is going as the number 5 wide receiver.
Yeah.
He barely played last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the Kevin Durant disease where he's got too much of a big feet that keep getting stepped on.
You know what they say about big feet?
No, because I have small feet. So what's that mean?
You usually wear big shoes.
Ah, yes. I do like my clown shoes. Mm-hmm. They always make me change them when I go to the bowling alley, and I don't like that. But Dez Bryant, he's got big feet and big ass britches. He's going as your number 5 wide receiver.
You said britches.
He doesn't seem to be falling based on his production from last year. People are still liking from what he's done in the past. Not sure if he's gonna be. Not sure if he's gonna finish at number 5. However, I do think I like a couple other wide receivers a little bit past this. Number 10 overall, I don't really hate it, though. This is more of a preference thing. Here, especially when it comes to wide receiver at this point, it really becomes kind of a
God, do you ever
pin the tail on the donkey.
Holy shit.
The
Look,
king of the rants, Hitler. I'm
look.
sorry, I'm not a... The Juden.
All right, so here's
That would be speaking your language.
here's what you guys need to know about Des Bryant. Des Bryant will not finish as the number 4 wide receiver this year.
He's going as number 5. So you don't have him as top 5.
Oh, he's going as number 5?
Yes.
Is he? Yeah, he is. Okay, I can't count. All right, so I actually will put him inside my top 10. I don't know that he finishes within the top 5, which is why I'll put him in my top 10 wide receivers. I feel more comfortable with guys like Allen Robinson.
This sounds
AJ Green,
like
Jordy
a lot
Nelson,
of. This sounds.
and Brandon Marshall.
Is this a direct result of your love of Ezekiel Elliott?
No.
Oh.
I think it's a very, very balanced offense.
Okay.
But because it's so balanced, they're not going to be just throwing the rock over to Dez every single chance they get, which they didn't do last year because they didn't have anyone who could do it.
They did not.
I tried texting Jerry, letting him know I was available, but
You do have that top 40 speed.
Yeah, he said to fuck off, and he said quit texting.
Well,
me.
he was getting a blowjob from a stripper.
I did. I heard that at the time. 2 strippers actually.
So you do not have him as a top 5, but you still have him as a number 1.
Yeah, I've still got him as a number 1 wide receiver, but
you don't have him as a first rounder, and you don't have him as a top 5 wide receiver.
No, I think he's just outside the top, the first round.
Okay.
I think he's outside of the top 5 wide receivers. I think there's some other guys we'll talk about here later.
I actually think I like him a little bit more than you, but let's move on.
I like him. I just think injury
No,
concerns are going to push him back.
Okay, I understand. I don't think his injuries will necessarily play a part of this next season. Not necessarily won't get re-injured, but I don't think his previous injuries were going to cause him to get re-injured. Well, number 11, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm going to fucking say it. Devonta Freeman.
Yeah, you know what this is related to? A really hot start last year, and it resulted in a really high rating.
He was so amazing.
He's so hot right now.
He fell off so bad. I think he even got injured at the end of the season.
He did.
But goddamn, number 6 running back Devonta Freeman
seems a
with a terrible offensive line. That is 100% like PPR. He's gonna catch a lot of balls. He's gonna get a lot of receiving yards. But there's just no way that chance that repeats again. That was complete lightning in a bottle. If you take him here, you are chasing last year's stats because there's 0 chance that it repeats itself.
Agreed. Rob Gronkowski.
Rob Gronkowski is not a murderer, which makes him probably the best New England tight end at the moment.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
They did get Martellus Bennett though.
Now, I've never been a fan of taking him this early. He's always going end of the first, early second. People like to grab the best tight end off the board, lock that up, and be happy with having the number 1 guy. He's definitely going to get your touchdowns and stuff, but man, he is a stud, and he's so much better than every other tight end. And yes, with the positional scarcity built in, I still do not like him that high.
He almost scores like a wide receiver 1.
But I do not like him that high. Now, yes, taking him is smart when you end up taking, like last year, you were smart to take him over freaking Jeremy Hill.
Well,
you were very smart to do that, but you were really dumb to do that if you took him over Jamal Charles, who got hurt, and that's a terrible analogy. I did not mean Jamal Charles.
No, that didn't really work.
But my point is that that only worked out because there were so many other injuries and stuff. That's just not going to happen most times. He's never going to add. Hell, there's going to be so many tight ends that are good this year that how much better he is than them, I just think is worth it. There is going to be a tight end that goes in the 12th round that's going to score as many points as Gronk this year. As many within reachable distance that the 11 round difference is going to make a huge factor.
Before we move on, does Martellus Bennett have any...
Great question. I'm going to say no.
Okay. Oh, shit. Here we go. Allen Robinson.
Overrated. I think he had his career year last year. That's the best you could do. If you want to take him here, you're chasing last year's stats. There's zero chance he does that again. I do think he's a very good wide receiver, but I think he's more of a number 2 wide receiver next year.
Do you think that's because he's also sharing those touches with the other Allen?
No, I just think that entire offense is going to be a little bit more balanced. I think it's going to be a better offense with a better defense. They're not going to be so behind. I think they threw a shit ton and got a lot of touchdowns and a lot of yards when they were 21 points down and tried to come back. I think that's not the case this year. His usage rate, his targets, his completions are going to be all down from last year. This is way too high for Allen Robinson. Still good, but way too high.
Let me ask you this. He catches 60 balls and has 1,000 yards and finishes with 10 touchdowns.
He won't have that many touchdowns, but that'll place him as with that many touchdowns, he would be a number 1. But I don't think he's got many touchdowns. I think he's going to be a number 2.
Here's what he finished with last season. Do you know?
I know he had a shit ton of touchdowns. He had like 12?
14?
14.
80 catches for 1,400 yards.
Yeah, it's not going to happen again.
14 touchdowns. But
he will not have double-digit touchdowns.
How much do we knock down those?
He will not have double-digit touchdowns.
I'll put another one on the board with you.
I say Allen Robinson has 9.5 touchdowns or fewer.
And I'll take the over.
Let it ride, please.
Let it ride.
Shit, are we writing these down?
There's too many. Oh my god! If there's just a way we were recording all this shit. Oh wait, we are. Joke's on us.
Moving on. Who's after Allen Robinson?
Well, I don't know.
We're barely into the second round. We're going to go speed round.
Yeah,
Doug Martin.
Doug Martin, I don't like him.
I say Doug Martin has more fantasy points this year than Ezekiel Elliott.
I'm not putting up another letter.
No.
You're setting me up for that, but I'm not taking it.
You don't like that?
No.
You are a coward, sir.
Fuck you.
We need to be writing these down. AJ Green.
I like AJ Green more than I like Des Bryant.
I love AJ Green. I like him more than AJ Bryant and DeAndre Hopkins.
AJ Bryant?
AJ Bryant, yeah, both of them.
You like AJ Green more than AJ Bryant?
AJ Bryant is a terrible NFL wide receiver. I think he's like 7th, I think he's like the 7th wide receiver for the Raiders.
Okay, just correct yourself and let's move on.
Lamar Miller, new team.
Oh my god, I love Lamar Miller so much. Yeah. I mean, if you just take Lamar Miller's stats per carry and in his time with Miami are pretty ridiculous. If you take that and factor that in and meet somewhere in the middle with the way the Texans use their running backs, you've got a stud running back. I just don't
trust him.
No one ever has.
I know.
But why do you hey, he finished as the number 6 running back last year.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. Number 6 running back last year.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
That's insane if he did. But I do not trust a running back as high profile as Lamar Miller going to a new team. That never works. People always overdraft it. People always overassume his responsibilities, his number of carries, his usage rate. It's not going to happen. Now, there's no one else there, but they're going to be a bad team. There's going to be a bad offense.
I don't disagree with that, but if you love...
They're going to be down.
As much
they're going to be throwing. That's why DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a number 1 wide receiver, but not Lamar Miller.
And at the very worst, he ends up as the number 6 overall running back, just like we did last year with
not
the
gonna happen.
Miami Dolphins.
Lamar Miller will not be a number 1 running back.
You don't think he'll finish in the top 12?
I do not think Lamar Miller...
I will fucking put that up on the board all day. Let that shit ride.
Let it ride, please. Lamar Miller will not be a top 12 running back.
You're so stupid.
He's going as the number 8. That's not even like... It's not that crazy of a call in the first place. He's not gonna end as a top 12.
Yeah, he will.
I can't wait till he gets hurt week 2. Jordy Nelson coming off ACL surgery, going as the number 8 wide receiver, going in the mid of the second round at number 17 overall. This guy has got so much invested in his own team. He helps out the fantasy value of every other single teammate. With him gone last year, every single Green Bay fantasy player plummeted last year, including Aaron Rodgers. Can Jordy Nelson recover and help out his team and be the eighth best wide receiver in fantasy?
Let me just say this. Based on your last statement and the fact that I know that you have Jordy Nelson on one of your keeper league teams,
Yes.
I hope he tears his ACL again.
Do not put that evil on me, Hitler. Don't you do that. That is so unbecoming of you.
And I really like
Hitler,
Jordy
you're
Nelson.
normally so genteel and loving. Why are you wish evil upon Jordy Nelson?
You
Just because I can keep him in the 16th round of our 12-team league. Jordy Nelson is going to be not that great this year. He's not going to be the number 8. He's still going to be damn good.
Do you remember what he did in 2014, though?
No, I love Jordy Nelson. He's amazing. But coming off that ACL injury, he's probably going to be a little bit slow. My point
98
is,
catches.
best case scenario is number 8.
1,500 yards and 13 TDs.
This is the best case scenario is he's the number 8 wide receiver. I don't think people understand that coming off that injury. Adrian Peterson, the alien, has ruined everyone's perceptions of injuries of these types. People think you can just bounce back and be freaking amazing the next year like Adrian Peterson did.
It doesn't always work.
No, apparently Adrian Peterson is the fucking only one. So
Todd Gurley also came back from an ACL.
But he also sat out multiple weeks. So yes, he can easily come back and be amazing. My point is, as much as I love Jordy Nelson, he could easily be a top 8 wide receiver. But I gotta bake a little bit of maybe he's not up to speed or is gonna be a little slow this first couple.
All right,
weeks.
shut up. Is he better or worse than Allen Robinson?
He's better.
Okay.
But I also hate Allen Robinson.
Correct. Okay, moving on to Mark Ingram. Anything to say about him, or can we just kind of wink, nod, and move on by?
Well, he's a little. He is so odd to me because I think he is he's the new Frank Gore. He's not sexy. He's not going to put up anything amazing, but I can almost guarantee you he's going to be a number 1 running back. But he's got zero chance of being top 5. So if you want to take him at this point, by all means, but you know what you're getting. He is a can of wine, if you will.
Can of wine, please. Yeah, do you know what he finished with last year? I mean, I know he got hurt. He hurt his rotator cuff, all that BS. Finished with 769 yards and 6 TDs.
Not well. I don't know. I'm not sure how many games that is, but no. But when he was playing, he was great. Mark Ingram could easily be amazing this year, especially if they wanted to take a little bit off Drew Brees and that passing game and give a little bit more to Mark Ingram. I think he's still going to be very good. He's just not going to be. He's not going to win you any leagues. He's not going to win you a season. He's not going to win you a week. But he's going to be very solid. He is a Frank Gore type player. He's going to get you 12 points every week.
Meh.
And you're going to be like, meh, because he's never going to get you 25.
You know what? In the second round, I probably don't care about being so safe because I feel.
And
like
that's why I feel like he's probably the safe pick here.
Well, the thing about him is I feel like there might be a guy right behind him that's just as safe with a much higher ceiling.
I feel like we're going to disagree on that, but let's move on. Number 19, Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, this relies heavily on the quarterback situation.
We don't know if Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to sign, but he's definitely going to sign. If, hypothetically, Ryan Fitzpatrick signs, how do you like Brandon Marshall next year?
I think he's a solid.
Love him.
Solid top
Love
2
him.
rounds. I do like him more than Mark Ingram. I'd probably take him over also because I'm not as high on these guys. Probably Allen Robinson, Doug Martin, Mark Ingram. I take him over all those guys.
The Allen Robinson, Brandon Marshall is pretty close for me.
I think it is close, but I rely on.
I still love Brandon Marshall as number one. He's a guy I think, for whatever, it just doesn't get enough respect for what he does. He's so super consistent each and every season. I love Brandon Marshall. As a matter of fact, I'm mad I didn't get him in any league last year.
Finished with 109 catches, 1502 yards, and 14 touchdowns.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. And you got him super late last year.
Yes, which is what, and I think he's still going probably a little too late because I think he's probably going to repeat that pretty easily. Next number, and I think somebody maybe we were talking about, Thomas Rails?
Raúls. Okay. Yeah, so Thomas Rawls, obviously. You've got the retirement of Beast Mode up there in Seattle.
Number 10 running back.
Yeah. I just, you know what? He had a few really good games at the end.
He's young and hungry.
Is he worth the risk? I feel like he could have a super high ceiling. I think he's also got a really low floor.
Yes, I 100% agree. Again, here's a situation where I don't think enough of his negativity is baked into his overall ranking. Thank you, Hitler. I think he can still be very good. As a number one, I don't think that's as sure a thing. But he is probably going to get most of the carries on what I think is going to be a very good offense. So I think I like him here, even though I don't want to. But he's probably going to end up as your number 10 running back.
I mean, probably. I don't like it either.
Well, is he a can of wine?
It's freaking hiccups. I don't even know. A can of wine at this point. I don't give a shit.
Number 21 overall and your number 10 wide receiver, Alshon, King of the Andals, Alshon Joffrey.
Joffrey, as our friend the Gremlin would say. Oh, man. So, Alshon Joffrey, I like him. I am not a huge fan of Chicago's offense. But I think he's got an opportunity to finish pretty much right where he's drafted, which is why I really don't have an argument against it.
Well, here's one of those crutch arguments. If he is so good, like a lot of people say, why will Chicago not lock him up, and why are they franchise tagging him, probably letting him walk next year? Something tells me there might be something else wrong with him. He had so many injuries last year. Does he have a bad knee? Does he have a bad hamstring? Is there something that's causing these injuries that's scaring Chicago enough that they do not want to lock him up with guaranteed money?
Dude.
So he's still going as a number one wide receiver, and all signs point to he should be number one receiver. And you could either say, well, he's in a contract year, he's going to play his ass off and earn his money. Or you can think, well, Chicago knows what the fuck they're doing. They're not going to want to lock him up and give him money and treat him as a number one wide receiver.
Do they know what the fuck they're doing, though?
That's the question. The point is, all the evidence could lead you to one conclusion or the other.
Look.
I'm going to side on the negative.
Ooh.
But that negative doesn't hurt him that much. I still think he's a number 2 wide receiver. But at this point, I've got about 6 number 1 wide receivers and about 27 number 2 wide receivers. Right. So I'm gonna have to help here.
Yeah. So I think he's Jesus Christ.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
No,
I'm gonna have the whiskey dick.
Okay. So he's 26. I'm not worried about age at this point.
He's black though.
He is. But you may have heard this before. Black don't crack.
He does matter.
Yes, he does. Which is why we're talking about him, frankly. He put up some decent stats last year, yards wise.
In the limited games he played, but he also had a couple of those decoy games. That's why I'm a little afraid. He's one of those guys that he's the new Ruddy White. I don't know how much you can trust him.
Right.
Eddie Lacy.
Ugh, man, I don't want to take Eddie Lacy.
I love Eddie Lacy.
Why?
I think everyone is zigging and I am zagging. He is going way too late. He's going as the number 11 running back. I think he finishes way ahead of that.
I just don't trust him.
Yes, because of one bad season with no Jordy Nelson. I think. Have you heard of P90X?
No.
Apparently, it's this new program that immediately makes you an amazing football player.
Huh. So weird.
I don't know why more people don't do that. It seems like it's so easy. Eddie Lacy is going to be great this year. I think he's going to be way undervalued because of how much he pissed people off. He is on a lot of people's hate lists now of never draft ever again lists, which is going to let him slide. I think you can snag him for value this year. He's one of my big upside guys.
Well, you're stupid.
You're stupid. Followed by Mike Evans, blit. Sammy Watkins, blit. And that's the end of that second round. There you go. That's some quality analysis from us.
You know what? I think unless we've got any surprises, announcements, or anything like that, I think we're pretty much.
What?
Dude,
Hitler, what was that?
What was that? I mean, hang on a second. Was that the door? Okay, that was the door. Hang on.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This is unprecedented, but we're having apparently someone knocking on the doors of the Drunk on a Weeknight headquarters. Who could it be?
Oh.
Good Lord.
Mr. Commissioner. Thanks for showing up today. And
No chance. That's what you got.
Roger Goodell here in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Commissioner, look, you're in charge of the National Football League.
Yes.
I don't think it's any question. Some news was announced today. We've all seen it. Tom Brady has decided to drop the appeal on his 4-game suspension this season. Your thoughts on Tom Brady and his suspension and what that means to the NFL?
Well, I just want to start off with saying that I appreciate you're welcoming me into your studios tonight.
This is the second time now.
This is the second time, and you were so welcoming last time, and I just had to come back. You're always so professional, and this is probably the best podcast I've ever heard. That is Roger Goodell's stamp of approval. But to answer your question, Tom Brady is history's greatest villain. He is a stain on my National Football League.
You're coming in hot.
4 games he is lucky to have with that cheating attitude, smoking hot wife that he thinks he could parade in front of me. No, sir. 4 games easily, and he should count himself lucky.
Are you suspending him for having a hot wife?
I am not suspending him. I'm suspending him for being cheating and having a smoking hot wife.
He
with
cheated on his
rocking
wife?
tits. No.
Oh, I'm very confused.
Not that I know of. I mean, this is Tom Brady, a known cheater. He very easily could have, and I don't have any proof of that, but that doesn't mean I might not suspend him anyway.
Oh, wow. So strong words from a clearly strong man.
I am a strong man.
Commissioner, there have been some other conspiracy theories about some fantasy conventions that were set to take place that were consequently canceled because of
pish posh.
Because of certain rumors. We are a largely fantasy football based podcast. What do you have to say for our listeners?
I, as Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League, I love the fantasy community. However, these conventions can be a real thorn in my side because if they're having these committees and these conventions that are making money, how am I making money off them? Where's my money? Unless kickbacks are being thrown back to me, unless somehow I am profiting from profession, I'm going to shut down these conventions until I am getting my whistle wet.
So So what happens when overall the NFL benefits from more fantasy football participation due
As
to these conventions?
I am the NFL. I am Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League. And unless I am pleased, the NFL is not pleased.
Commissioner Goodell, I think that's going to be confusing for a lot of our viewers, but we'll go ahead.
I am not enjoying your tone, Hitler. I am Roger Goodell.
And
You will respect me.
we're going to go ahead and move on to our last segment of our podcast today. We would like your opinion on Peyton Manning's retirement and Eli Manning continuing on in the league. What are your thoughts on the Manning brothers and how bad one of them sucks?
Peyton Manning. Every time I hear his name, I hear soft piano music playing in the background.
I see a tear
He's
right now, actually.
a true hero. He is the love of my life and made me so much, very much money. He has made the NFL and by transient property, me, very, very rich.
Right. I thought you might want to talk about that.
But Eli Manning is the worst quarterback
He's pretty terrible.
in the National Football League. Eli Manning, I am putting you on notice. If you throw one more interception in the fourth quarter, trying to lead your team to a comeback, and you throw an ill-advised pass to Larry Donnell, which gets off his fingertips and into a recovering safety for a pick six, then I am suspending you. There is nothing in the rulebook that says I can, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I mean, it's probably not good for the NFL, I guess.
If it's not good for me, then it's not good for the National Football League.
Wait, do you mean if it's not good for the National Football League, it's not good for you? Or did you have that
It's the
reversed?
same. I am the National Football League.
Oh, okay. Again, ladies and gentlemen at home, Marshmallow, you might agree with me, but ladies, strong words from a strong man. Mr. Commissioner, thanks for coming by today.
And where is Marshmallow? Every time I come here, he's never around.
Yeah, so he's got a really weak bladder. It's just one of those things, you just got to. I'm sure he'll be around here soon.
He sounds like a quite girly man, like Eli Manning. But gotta go.
All right. See you, Mr. Commissioner. Bye. See you next time. Wow. The definitive Commissioner Goodell.
Okay, what did I miss?
So Goodell was just here, like Roger Goodell.
Roger Goodell, the commissioner?
Yeah. No, he was just here.
Does he? What?
Well, he heard about the new headquarters. He wanted to stop by and see it.
Is he in the parking lot?
I think he's gone already.
God damn it!
That's his Porsche going down the street right now.
God damn this weak bladder of mine!
Dude, I'm telling you, that was a long piss though, because he went on a rant. You must have been needy.
Well, it takes a long time for the piss to come out of my 14-inch dick.
Wow. Could you wrap that around one of Tom Brady's deflated footballs? Or would
Depends on the. It depends on the cold pressure and
a lot of science goes into
we'll have to consult the scientists.
All right. Well, we've covered the first two rounds today. We've even talked about some shitty other crap that we don't even need to discuss.
And as always, go fuck yourself.